both present our views. Tons of people have come into the world claiming to be prophets, and we can't accept what someone says just because he tells us that he's a prophet. Muslims don't accept everything people believe, and neither should we. We need to test people to see whether the message really comes from God. Now, if someone comes with a revelation or a book, there are three main possibilities we should consider. Number one, the revelation could have a human origin. Sometimes people speak in the name of God when the messages are really coming from their own minds. Number two, the revelation might have a demonic origin. Christians and Muslims believe in spirits that are in rebellion against God, so we have to consider the possibility of demonic influence when someone tells us that he's speaking for God. Number three, the revelation may actually come from God, in which case we should all submit to it. Now let's apply these three possibilities to Islam. Could Muhammad's revelations have a human origin? I would say absolutely. Anyone who examines Islam objectively will notice that it looks like a religion that came from the mind of a caravan trader in 7th century Arabia. I'll give you three reasons. First, we find all of the building blocks of Islam in the teachings and practices of people around Mecca during the time of Muhammad. There was Jewish monotheism right there in Arabia. There were various stories about Jesus and Mary circulating in Arabia. The Sabaeans, who are mentioned in the Quran, bowed down and prayed at all 5 of the times that Muslims now pray. Some of the Persians believed that after death, an eternity of pleasure awaited them, complete with perpetual virgins called houris. The pagans, the polytheists, performed ablutions. They prayed facing Mecca. They fasted during Ramadan. They took the pilgrimage to Mecca, and they circled the Kaaba. They kissed the black stone. So Islam doesn't look like something that came down from heaven, my friends. It looks like a strange combination of Jewish beliefs, Christian beliefs, and pagan beliefs and practices. This is exactly the sort of religion we would expect to arise in 7th century Arabia. Second, Muhammad's self-serving revelations point to a human origin of his teaching. Surah 4:3 says that Muslims can marry up to 4 women. But Muhammad had at least 11 wives at one time. So why did Muhammad get more wives than other Muslims did? Well, he received a revelation, Surah 33:50, which gave him, and him alone, special privileges, namely many wives. That's pretty convenient if you're not a Muslim. What happens when Muhammad was attracted to the wife of his adopted son, Zayd? He received more revelation. Surah 33:37 and 33:5 justify Muhammad's marriage to the divorced wife of his own adopted son, a divorce Muhammad caused when he was attracted to his daughter-in-law, Zainab. And what about Surah 66, 1 through 2? These verses give Muhammad permission to break his oaths. But the reason for this revelation is very interesting. Muhammad's wives, Aisha and Hafsa, complained to him about having sex with his slave girl until he vowed that he would stop having sex with his slaves. But then Surah 66, 1 through 2 came down, telling Muhammad to break his oath so that he could continue having sex with his slave girls. And by the way, these are just a fraction of Muhammad's immoral teachings. Muhammad allowed his followers to hire prostitutes during their military expeditions. He allowed Muslims to rape their female captives, even captives who were married. The Quran allows sex with prepubescent girls. Islam seems to be centered on satisfying man's desires, especially Muhammad's. Third, and I'm only bringing this up because Muslims appeal to science as evidence for Islam, we have to recognize that virtually everything Muhammad said about science is false. Surah 1886 tells us that Alexander the Great traveled so far west, he found the place where the sun sets, and it sets in a pool of murky water. Surah 67:5 and 37:6 through 10 tell us that stars are missiles that God uses to shoot demons when they try to sneak into heaven. When you see a shooting star, it's because God became angry and decided to pop a star in a demon. Surah 65:12 tells us that there are 7 earths. Surah 88:20 says that the earth is flat. According to Surah 22:65, the sky is a solid object that would fall on us if Allah didn't hold it up. In Surah 27, ants talk to Solomon. In Surah 86, we learn that semen is formed between the backbone and ribs. And according to several verses in the Quran, human beings go through a blood clot stage during embryonic development. All of these, of course, all of these teachings are false. They're nonsense. So we have many reasons to believe that Muhammad's revelations have a human origin. But do we have evidence that something comes from God? We have evidence, again, that some of these teachings had a human origin. We have evidence that some of them have something much darker at work. And I'll go ahead and give you a few examples here. We know from Muslim records that when Muhammad began receiving revelations in the cave on Mount Hira, his first impression was that he was demon-possessed. That's not me saying, that's Muslim sources talking. Then we have the infamous satanic verses, the verses that Muhammad delivered to his followers and later claimed were from the devil. I find it strange that so many Muslims tell me that Muhammad is the greatest moral example, that he was even sinless maybe, when according to Muslim sources, not according to David Wood or Sam Shamoun, according to Muslim sources, Muhammad committed shirk, the worst possible sin. So Muhammad delivered a revelation to his followers saying that it was okay to pray to Allat, Alus, and Manat, 3 pagan goddesses. And later on he came and said, well, the devil tricked me. The devil tricked me into delivering these revelations. But what that means is that Muhammad admittedly couldn't tell the difference between a revelation from God and a revelation from Satan. It's also interesting to note that at one point in life, Muhammad was the victim of a magic spell that lasted about a year. It apparently gave him false beliefs and delusional thoughts. And